cut the bumper tonight, and welcome to Live with Ria. I'm Ria. I think I am. Yeah, I think I'm live. I'm definitely Ria. So anyway, yeah. Hi. It's been off and on. I'll tell you what's been going on. We've been doing a lot of different things. I've been kind of, I don't know. There's been a lot of things going on. Some of which I'm not going to discuss right now, but some things are pretty interesting. So back in 1997, I got licensed in amateur radio, and tonight I'm going to talk about 25 years perspective and some of the things that I've been doing, and also what you can do to you know so why is there an it's not mine. Okay. Okay. It was an HD counter. Okay. All right. That's a story for another time. Not tonight. Okay. So right here. So anyway, if you're new to the channel, I am Ria. My call sign is N2RJ, and I'm coming to you from the great state of New Jersey. And Eric, yeah, the book is okay. It's a different way to learn. I do think the best way, like I mentioned, is to do it by sound, and I'll tell you why you should learn Morse code by sound, because sound is definitely how you'll be doing Morse code most of the time. So I really don't think that you should be looking at words, although the book does have some some ability to use sound, right? They do link to a lot of YouTube videos and such like that they have with the Morse code characters. Can you restart? No. Mike, really? Come on, do it on your own channel, Mike. Yeah, so 26 years for you, Chris. That's great. Yeah, the streaming setup, I need to redo some of the streaming setup, and let's see how that goes. So yeah, so speaking of books, actually, a company actually reached out to me and had me write a tech book for them. I'm listed as the author, but it is their product. I basically sold it to them, and I do have some advanced copies. So if you're interested, you can email me, ria@n2rj.com. And then, if you know somebody want to get a tech license, or if you want to use it as a teaching tool, I have some free advanced copies, and I will be sending that off to you. I'll be honest, this is a pain in the neck. Some people didn't like that I wrote this book, and I really can't talk too much about it. But, if you heard what I've been hearing, you're going to be angry too. But I'll just leave it at that. And, I really, I'm not, I'm here for the community. This is my thing. I'm not really, I'm all about amateur radio. In 25 years, ham radio has done so much to me. So anyway, if you do want a copy, email ria@n2rj.com. Right? And, yeah. So as far as learning Morse code, your best way to learn Morse code really is to listen. It's kind of like learning a foreign language, and I have to learn some foreign languages for things. Believe you me, I have a lot of international stuff going on. So anyway, I did not operate CQ Worldwide contest, and that's kind of been really. I wish I could have operated a CQ Worldwide contest. I just, it just wasn't in the cards. I've been doing other things, and like my kids have been doing archery, and T-Ray asked how many languages I speak. Enough. I'm kind of working on one right now that I need to do for business. Yeah, so I'm not a QCWA member. No, I want to become one. It's always been a dream, and I'll explain to you why I think that that's an important milestone. But yeah, no, as far as ignoring the haters, some of them I could ignore. Some of them just want to bring me down, and I really can't ignore some of them, if you know what I mean. I really don't want to say who it is yet, because I think that you know in time it'll probably have to come out, but I really don't want to to, to explode that bomb yet, if you know what I mean. Right. Sailor doesn't count as a language. Okay. All right. Yes, family and others is more important. Exactly. And I did talk about that on the radio show. If you are interested in more content, I do have a radio show as well on WTWW shortwave, the big one, 5085. It's on Saturday, 8 p.m. Now, I realize Joshua Ham Radio Crash Course is on at that time. So that's okay. I have it on a podcast format as well. It's available on Spotify. It's available on an app called Podbean, so you could listen at your own time. On Lawnmower, yeah, I know you parlez-vous français. So, yeah. So, okay. All right. Yeah. Hey, thanks, Eric. But like I said, some people trying to bring me down for purely petty reasons. And you would be shocked if I told you who. Okay. So anyway, right. So tonight I'm telling you about my adventures of 25 years in amateur radio. I'll probably supplement it with some materials, but mostly I'm going to tell you things I've learned. So my story is that amateur radio, and by the way, I hope the audio is good. I'm using this new Audio Technica microphone here that I got. Yeah. Hey, Nigel. So Nigel probably knows some of this too. He's been around. So as you know, I'm from Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean, and it's a tropical country. It is the probably one of the most unique countries in the Caribbean. The thanks, Mark. The Trinidad and Tobago, as they used to say on television in Trinidad and Tobago, on Trinidad and Tobago television, when they're doing the sign on, because I'm so old that back when I was watching TV, we didn't have TV 24 hours a day. We didn't have cable TV. You got TV from an antenna, and then they used to sign on in the afternoons so that kids, when they come home from school, they could watch cartoons, and then they go through prime time, and then they sign off with the national anthem at midnight. Okay. Yeah. So the real story is, they used to say, Trinidad and Tobago, the most southerly isles of the tropical Caribbean, and they go blah blah blah. They talk about channels 2 and 13 and where they transmit from and such like that. I got involved with a school teacher, Tony Lee Mac 9Y4 Alpha Lima. He was one who taught a lot of people ham radio in Trinidad, and so I grew in a hobby, and I really think it's important to do what teachers, to support teachers in amateur radio. I'm supporting teachers. I do help out one of my local schools, and one of the local schools here, the Sussex County Charter School for Technology. I go to their radio club meetings sometimes with Mrs. DiCaprio and her students, and we do all sorts of stuff. We get on the radio, we make contacts, and I hope she's doing well, Nigel. She's I hope she's not, I mean, it's hard for her, but yeah. So I'm doing that. I'm also trying to work with my kids' school in a town called Wayne, New Jersey. So we're going to try to do an ARIS contact with them. I'm going to submit a proposal, but we're also going to try to see if we could get some STEM activity with them, because I know they want to push for that. My kids go to a private school, a private religious school, so they have a little more smaller student population. Yeah, I got involved there, and early on, to pass the exam in Trinidad, we did not have volunteer examiners or anything like that. Thank you, T-Ray. No, I had 10 years. I started when I was like 17. And the the teacher, he taught people how to pass this exam, the British City and Guilds. And I want to show you. I want to see if the website is still up. So there is this website called G4DMP. G4DMP. He was one of the David M. Pratt. He was one of the examiners who did the City and Guilds Radio Amateurs exam. And I'll bring up his website here. Let me see if I could bring it up. I am using OBS tonight, by the way. Let's see here. And I'm trying to get the yeah, I'm using OBS because there we go. Okay. Right. Because OBS, I don't know where my ATEM went. I packed in a box to move around some stuff, and I don't know where it went, so I'm going to find it. Yeah. So anyway, so I let me do this here. So David M. Pratt, G4DMP, he was one of the examiners for the City and Guilds of London. He used to formulate these tests called the Radio Amateurs exam, which is basically how the British do ham radio. But given that Trinidad and Tobago has a lot of British heritage. We drive on the wrong side of the road, and our cars are right-hand drive, which means that we get cool cars from Japan, but it also means that we follow all the British standards. Ironically enough, because we're in the Western Hemisphere, the voltage is 120 volts, and the TV standard is NTSC. So yeah, so this is his website here, and then papers of the Radio Amateurs exams. And he had another one here. Past RAE papers. Now, they did not have my exam here, which was in 1997, I think. But they have one for 1998. And here is what it looks like. Right. So there are two. Now, the thing is, I have a bad habit of saying right, and the training counselor at the NRA, his wife was there to help me, coach me along, being an instructor. She was like saying, "Don't say right, because people will think that you're asking them to you're asking them a question, and it undermines your credibility." But anyway. So I have to learn to stop doing that. Yeah, so here's what it looks like. So the first section started out where you have the licensing conditions and operating procedures. I had to order a booklet from DTI in England that would have the terms and conditions. So we learned all the British terms and conditions, even though our license conditions are different. And it was quite interesting. Like, for example, one thing I did not know that I found out was that in Britain, they don't allow aeronautical mobile operation. So, I don't know. I mean, Carlos, KD9OLN, they probably don't allow parachute mobile either. So, sucks for that. I guess he couldn't do that in England, but he could do that in the United States. God bless America. Yeah. And all these conditions. So this was, this was the licensing conditions and operating procedures, and they have a bunch of things. Like they say, for example, when the station's operated from a temporary location, same country, and then that main station address. This use the suffix /p, portable. Station may be used to send messages on behalf of, and then you have a bunch of other things here. And then which one of the following is a requirement of the amateur radio license with regard to keeping a log at the main station address? And, so you have all these here. Now, these are all rules, arcane rules that you remember. And then part B is the part that trips a lot of people up. You see circuit diagrams here. You have math and all sorts of stuff. And, It's just like you have a buffer amplifier. And one thing I notice, interestingly enough, about British nomenclature is that normally you see a transistor, and you would see Q as the letter abbreviation for that component. Well, in England, apparently they use TR, so transistors are like TR1 and TR2 rather than Q1 and Q2. And yeah, Nigel, the RAE manual. So in Trinidad, apparently now they're doing ARRL exams now, and that is not they're not doing this anymore because the RAE exam is now discontinued, and they're doing RSGB examinations in Britain. So yeah, and all this. So anyway, long story short, I think this is slightly less difficult than a US extra. It might be between general and extra. It's not a hard exam if you know electronics. If you don't know electronics, it is a hard exam. And there are people who failed. Some failed very miserably, and there are people who are who pass it well. I mean, I passed it on the first try, and I was a high school student, so it really wasn't that hard. When I passed, the results took like 3 or 4 months to get there because it had to be mailed from England. And then when I got it, my first experience was I needed to go up and get the license. So I was learning Morse code because I fully intended to get a license with Morse code, because I saw it as a point for me where I said, you know what, I want to get one where I want the call sign. So in Trinidad, we have 2 sets of call signs. We have 9 Zulu for no code and 9 Yankee for code. Although I think that's changing up now. I think everybody's getting their license, and 9. I think all the licenses are the same now. Good. So I went and then I made an arrangement with the telecommunications division. Some of the old timers in the U.S. will tell how they had to appear in front of an FCC examiner. Like I think in this area they had to go to Varick Street in Manhattan, which is a big federal building. My memories of Varick Street is when I went to U.S. Immigration and they shouted at me like a dog. Okay, and they're really funny. But no, they're not funny. They really. It was terrible. I'm so glad I don't have to deal with U.S. immigration ever again. So we had to go in front of a government bureaucrat. I say that term fondly. We had to go in front of a licensing officer at the Prime Minister's office, telecommunications division, which is now they reformed that and made that into the Telecommunications Authority of Trinidad and Tobago, TATT. And they also increased the fees because of that. So I went up there, and then I was told by the examiner, Mr. Balchan Gunnis, 9Y4 Bravo Golf. Yeah, he was a ham too. And where's my code examiner? And he said, well, he canceled, so why don't you just take a codeless license? And that happened on October 31st, 1997. I was so pissed. So I walked away with a codeless license, and I got on the air, and then I made my first contact with 9Y4 Fox Papa, Fitzroy Peters. And, Fitzroy and I actually developed a good friendship. We would talk to each other over packet radio, right? And Fitzroy was an old-timer, so we talked to each other over packet radio, and I use a Commodore 64, which I still had in 1997, and we'd talk to each other over packet radio. Most of my activity in Trinidad and Tobago was 2-meter repeaters, where I would get on the air and talk on. We have 2 repeaters in Trinidad and Tobago. We have the 147.93 and we have the 146.94 repeaters. So the 147.93 is more popular, mainly because I think everything in Trinidad is centered around the capital, Port of Spain, which is in the north part, and that one gives better coverage to Port of Spain. The other one, 146.94, was in the in the central part of the island. Thunder is asking here, what is a good HF radio for home base station? Um, you know what everybody's going to say? ICOM 7300. That's pretty much everybody's going to say. Ray Novak's going to love me for saying that, but it's a good radio. I think it is a good radio. They're also the Yaesu FT991. They're, if you have money, you could buy like an ICOM 7610, but I think the 7300 is a good radio to start out with. The 991 is a good radio too, I believe. And yeah, they're pretty good. I know you have 5 repeaters now because and Robbie was supposed to ask me to about the fusion repeater because I was going to help him get a grant for that from ARDC. So yeah, hey, you from Princeton? Okay, good. I pronounce it just like the Maxi driver was pronounced Princeton. Okay, they don't say Princeton, they say Princeton. Okay, good. Yeah, the 991A, right? It's good radio. Good like Smiles 5. You guys are funny. You see, you guys want, you know what? Next time we meet up at a ham fest, we need to go out and have some drinks and I'll tell you the stories. Anyway, yeah, so that was most of my activity. I also met up with some interesting characters. 9x4 Stroke, WG3G, Bernie. He was the one who introduced me to WinLink. And people think I hate WinLink. Even like some of the WinLink people think I hate WinLink. Like they because of what my policy, my sort of like, my annoyance that some WinLink stations really don't listen before they transmit. And but yeah, no, I thought it was pretty cool. And Bernie also introduced me to the US license. And I told him that because that time I planned to emigrate to the US. We had filed for visas back in 1986. And that was when the new laws were signed by President Reagan, I think it was. And President Reagan signed the new immigration laws, so we were able. My aunt, who died last year, rest in peace. We were able to get green cards, and I came to the U.S. in the year 2000. But anyway, yeah. So I talked to Bernie, and then I came here in the year 2000. My first experience with getting an amateur license here was not fun. Because when you land here, you don't just automatically get a social security card and everything and just could go and get out your life. No, they had to send me one. So it took a little while. And meantime, I figured, you know what, let me go and get my ham license. And one of these VE teams in Brooklyn told me that they couldn't have me sit the exam without a social security number. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, we have, I don't want to imply anything, but I was taken aback. Okay, you see, I did again. The NRA Training Council is gonna wrap me on the knuckles for that. So I went and I took the exam. I kind of complained. I complained to the ARRL. And the ARRL threw their hands in the air. I wasn't happy at what the ARRL said. The president back then was Jim Haney, W5JBP. And I felt back then, and I'm being honest, that the ARRL failed me miserably by not backing me up. And I think that, it was not good. So, but it was a moot point because Social Security did send me my Social Security card and I got my Social Security number of blank, blank, blankety, blank, blank. And I went and I took the exam. Now they don't even do that. Now you sign up online for an FRN. And I got my license pre-FRNs before they started issuing FRNs. I ended up going in. I took the tech test. Okay, that was easy enough. I took the general test. Yeah, it was easy enough. Then I figured, you know what? Let me go home. I lived in Roosevelt Island that time. And It was. I was saying, it's time to go home. I don't want to take the subway too late because it's unsafe. Well, the V's there were like, why don't you take the extra? Come on. I'm like, nah. They say, come on, we have the extra ready for you. I'm like, okay, since you insist. I took it, and then you know what? I applied my knowledge of what I learned in Trinidad as a practical ham radio operator, one, and two, as the knowledge I learned from the radio amateurs exam, the RAE, and everything was common sense for me on the extra. I passed, and I became extra in one shot. So I got that. I had a number of different things going on here. I did MCOM for 9/11. I did a bunch of different events with New York City Aries and Racies. And then I kind of fell off when Mike Lysenko kind of took over. I was like, because Mike Lysenko went to YBB, he kind of like took over Aries at that time, and a lot of people weren't happy about that. Some people were happy, and then some people were like, nah, this is not going well. So, well, in 2006, I had various jobs. I worked for the city of New York for some time, and I kind of, I went to college during that time, and then I left in 2006 for New Jersey because I was working in New Jersey at AIG Insurance in their data center in Livingston, and right by the mall, by the way, if you guys know where in Livingston, New Jersey, where that is. I went there, and okay, yeah, I went there, and so I figured, it might as well just move because I don't want to be driving across, and traffic was horrendous. So I moved, and I ended up in New Jersey. Why? AIG almost moved me to Texas, and I kind of probably should have taken that. But yeah, I met up with Steve Mendelson, W2ML, who lived in Dumont, New Jersey at that time. Steve W2ML, he and I knew each other from the New York City Marathon because I was a communicator for the New York City Marathon. And Steve here, he had me join the North Jersey DX Association. I want to show you here where he was. So this is an ARL news article where Steve was a first vice president. He passed away from cancer, pancreatic cancer, the worst kind of cancer. He was 67. He was a life member of the ARRL, and he was elected as vice director of the Hudson Division in 1983, and then he was elected as director in 1987. And then he was elected as first vice president, which, by the way, is a trap because you don't get a vote as a first vice president. It's a prestigious position. I don't want it. Because if you get elected as vice president, forget it. You don't have a vote. I'm a troublemaker, so I need my vote. I knew his wife Heidi, W2MLW, and they're very nice people. Steve was a veteran of the Navy. What you might not have known about Steve is that because of his role as a game day frequency coordinator for the Jets, he discovered, surprise, surprise, the cheating scandal of the New England Patriots. And he did that because he noticed some of these guys were using unauthorized radios. Now, I am not a big football fan, so I don't understand half of what's going on, but I believe it. And it's a real tragedy. Steve, and this appeared on QST, so it's hilarious. So here you have Steve here with Joyce on the left side, and Bill Hudzik, W2UDT. There, Bill Hudzik was the former Hudson Division ARRL Vice Director. And Bill, unfortunately, Bill is down with Parkinson's. It's really painful because Bill and I work so good together. Bill is, I miss working with Bill. Although the new vice director is Nomar, and he works really well. But Bill was my first encounter with the ARRL, and Bill was like, he was a section manager for Northern New Jersey at the time I met him, and he was so helpful. Bill did a number of great things, including helping get our exemption in the cell phone bill. He went to the State House in New Jersey in Trenton and testified that amateur radio operators really shouldn't be subject to strict rules for mobile device usage like cell phone users. So you know what? The legislature wrote a complete exemption for amateur radio, which is great because now I can install a radio in my Tesla and not have to worry. Hint, hint. Yeah. Steve was there, and he loved working with the New York Jets, and he loved doing that as a game day coordinator. And then you have Heidi here. She's from Texas. And they did that. So Steve worked at ABC Television, and he worked together with Rich, K2WR, who I also know from NJDXA. And Rich is a character. Rich is a nice guy. He'll get you on the phone and he'll talk your ear off, but he's good. Yeah, so Steve was a big influence on my life, and Steve was kind of, he was just this character that was very controversial. Remember I showed you, the video with him. I can't remember. So the lessons I've learned. So let me tell you some of the things I've learned. And then, by the way, I got here now. I got later on, I basically started operating mobile. Went to Dayton in 2006, bought a mobile setup for my car because I lived in an apartment at that time and I couldn't operate there. And then later on, we bought a house and operated and then set up a station there. All right, so let me tell you some of the things I learned. The number one thing I learned in amateur radio all this time is never, ever stop learning. And I mean, don't ever. I am still learning. I still read and research things every day for amateur radio. And this is kind of interesting because some people think I know everything. I really don't. And, there's so much that I haven't touched on yet. I learned some things from you guys too. I watch your YouTube videos. I talk with you guys on social media. I do a lot of reading of things. I also read books sometimes too. And I got myself, I don't have it here, I got myself a 100th edition of the handbook. I got a lot of magazines and stuff I read. I read every QST cover to cover. I read every On the Air magazine cover to cover. I bring up things that I think that need to be addressed, and I tell people about it. It's kind of like it goes with the territory. Other things I learned is that if you find something you love, try to share it with friends. And one of the things I've done was let me see if I could bring this up here. I've actually started, with contesting, one of the things I've loved is that I've always been, a solo contester for a long time, because my initial thing with contesting is that I wanted to get on and basically give out points. Well, what happened is that I eventually began getting competitive in contesting, and one of the people noticed me in the contesting circles and said, "You know what? Why don't you join our contest club?" And I did join the contest club, and I met a lot of good friends there, and that was so awesome. That was so awesome, meeting friends and becoming part of it. And I also operated with people. So, that was a really interesting thing. The other thing I could tell you is that, you know what? It doesn't take a lot of equipment, a lot of money to enjoy ham radio. Some of the best thrills I've had were with cheap equipment. Like, for example, and I had him on the channel a few weeks ago, or maybe a couple months ago. I had the new owner, Ben Cherry, of Soft Rock Kits. And, yeah. Yeah, yeah, I got lots of things to say about the ARRL, but I won't. But, yeah, um, some of the best things I've learned were with cheap equipment. Like, for example, these soft rock kits. I had Ben Cherry on a few episodes ago. And Ben is carrying on an important legacy because these soft rock kits are cheap software defined radio. And I had lots of fun with them. So I really think that, excuse me, you don't need a multi-$1,000 radio. Although, don't get me wrong, I love operating expensive radios. I loved at Dayton, I could operate the ICOM 7800 that ICOM had their booth with the Heil PR40. And yeah, I think Ray Novak was there at that time too. And I was able to operate that there. So, what is the biggest problem with the ARRL? I don't know. I can't say that. Yeah. So right. You had a ball using your Baofeng. Yeah, and that's the other thing too. These Baofeng radios are really brought ham radio to a lot of people. The other thing is I like to say bring different perspectives to the room. And don't think that everybody's going to enjoy radio your way. I used to be a strong critic of the shack on the hip, quote unquote, folks. I used to ridicule and deride them. I was very horrible about that. Then I learned that some of these people enjoy amateur radio in their own way. And I really didn't, I didn't realize how much they did. But, some people have it their way and some people enjoy it. So, yeah, that's not a Baofeng. That's a Yaesu. Okay? Why is that even hanging there? Okay. Right. Yeah. The other thing I want to say is make sure that your friends, that you cherish the time you have with your friends, because a lot of hams are being silent key. Do you guys know the site Southgate? Like southgatearc.org? Well, the previous owner of that site recently just became silent key. And that was G4TUT. And I used to rely on that site for a lot of amateur radio news. I didn't even realize that he passed away, but yeah, he passed away recently. I also covered this in the radio show. And with him, the site became silent key. You want to know something? There are quite a number of amateur radio resources which are just like that. That once the owner dies, the site will go silent key. Some of them are quite popular. I have a lot of information on some sites like that due to various contacts I have. Not ARRL, because frankly, I learn more from my friends than I do from ARRL. But like a lot of people told me that, yeah, once they pass on, well, that dies with them and they have no intention of giving it up to anybody else. So, yeah, it is something. Of course, some people are really, they're really looking to pass on the legacy. I know of like some equipment manufacturers and stuff like that who are really looking to pass the torch on. And I know some who have been picked up, like for example, Scott W4PA picking up Vibraplex. That was good. So here's another thing. Don't be afraid to get into old and eclectic technology in amateur radio. I always thought that I never thought that I would enjoy Morse code. Um, and I actually enjoyed quite a lot. It is my favorite mode right now. Yeah, it is my favorite mode, Morse code, CW. Talking on the radio is fun, but using the Morse code is even funner. Yeah. And Nigel said, "What I've learned ham radio that MCOMs and ham radio is always needed, no matter how advanced." Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Although here in the U.S. though, they've gotten pretty sophisticated. You do hear of ham radio is that a lot of these sophisticated systems have gotten to the point where a hurricane passes through and they're still fine. And it's to the point where some of them are actually immune to this kind of weather. Like, for example, Starlink is now pretty much resilient. And, like, for example, at the NRA State Association range, gun range in New Jersey, we have it's out in the woods in a town called Highland Lakes in Vernon Township, New Jersey, and there's no cell service there, but they do have a Starlink dishy, and they use that for internet, and they have a mini cell site on premises. So, yeah, the cheap VHF, UHF radios got you back. Yeah, they're good. But I tell people at least check them, make sure the spurious emissions are good. So, yeah, let me see if I could show you a few pictures of things here that I've done. Put some things into perspective here. Halloween. I'm not a big Halloween person. I'll be honest. It kind of scratches my head. Halloween is kind of like, is it one of those holidays I observe, or is it not? It's just. So I'll tell you, in like 2000. I tried some new things. Like, I began to like rove with Andrea K2EZ, and we had a lot of time here. So let me see your photos, OBS, Windows servers. Where is it? Audio. This is the thing I don't like about OBS, is that they ask you for the you're trying to share a screen, but you can't really find it. Notes, photos. Where is it here? Okay, I'm looking for photos. Alright, well, that's something else. Control Center, Google Chrome, Messages, OBS. Spotlight item 0? No. Anyway. Yeah, I'll probably have to show you that some other time. Doc, yeah. So anyway, yeah, it's it's a really set of interesting things. So how I got involved with Flex Radio actually was Flex Radio. I foolishly took the Rob Sherwood chart and I looked for the one at the top and I said, let me buy that radio. So I bought the Flex 6700 thinking it's the best thing. No, that's not what I did. What I did was my friend Dave W02X, he brought a Flex radio to hey, thanks Brian. Yeah, the my friend Dave W02X, you might know him. He is like one of the Node Red people and he does like all this stuff. He introduced me to Flex radio. He bought a Flex 6700 and he basically introduced me to Flex radio. And I saw it and I thought, yeah, you know what? I will have one. So I ended up buying one in 2016. It was time. I had the ICOM 756 Pro 3 for a long time. And I really wanted to get some better. So one of the things I always wanted to do was remote operation, which I've actually done here. and I've showed about, and I thought that the Flex was pretty good. So a lot of Flex users now were talking about, well, we're going to remote using a VPN. One guy wrote a long YouTube video about configuring a VPN client for Flex Radio. And I'm like, really? Okay. I wrote a shell script to automate that. And then I dumped it in the Flex form. And I said, here, guys, have at it. You guys can just install it. And it's pretty nice. So that helped out a lot of people. And a lot of people, they enjoyed that I did that. Of course, I've been doing other things too. I've written like little software and APIs and such to access the Flex radios. So it's it's not it's really not much I've done to get people to notice me in the Flex community. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. Here are the photos now. So here we go. Here's one of me in 2016. Is it? Yeah. They give you little things at the Flex Radio banquet, which I attended because I thought, why not hang out with a bunch of Flex Radio nerds? And then, they sent me a hat too back in 2016 because I was one of their new Elmers. So, yeah. Yeah, Mike, Kate, MRD, I did get bots, yeah. I've been getting bots talking about all sorts of SEX and all sorts of things that, Yeah, so let's see what else is going on here with this. One other photo I want to show you is so at Dayton we had a great time. I met a lot of good friends. One of my idols actually in amateur radio, people I really enjoy meeting, was Eric KL7AJ. So Eric is this kind of cool character, and there he is. Eric, he's from Alaska, and he has like a very eclectic kind of vibe about him. He's always writing interesting things about adventures in ham radio, so you're not going to get like a boring type of ham radio story with him. And he is actually a very smart guy. I believe he worked on the HARP in Alaska. So, yeah. So there he is, Eric, KL7AJ. He also wrote a book about bonding and grounding for the ARRL. And he also wrote different books and articles and the opus of amateur radio lore, right? Here is a character I met up, Emmett. He is the owner of Radio Waves, chief engineer of Radio Waves there. He's there. And let's see what else I got. Yeah, I met a bunch of different people at Dayton 2017. Oh yeah, I want to show you some of this here. So this photo here is where Andrea K2EZ and I were trying to do the microwave sprint. And like I said, try something new, right? We tried something new again here. I've never operated on any band above 440 megahertz, above 70 centimeters. And Andrea was the one who introduced me to that. So here we have a piece of PVC kind of stuck onto the side of her. I think it's a Ford Bronco or something. Is it a Bronco? I don't know what that is. That's some kind of 4x4 vehicle. And we actually made contacts with people far away, as in Maryland and Philadelphia. And I was pretty stoked because I thought, hey, wow, I didn't even know you could do that. So this is something I want to, I haven't really done this on my own equipment, but maybe when I get my ICOM 905, I could probably try it. Let's see what else here. Yeah, the Bronco. Is that a Bronco? I don't know if that's a Bronco. You see, I could tell you every model of Tesla that's ever made, but as far as these old 4x4 vehicles and stuff, I couldn't tell you. Yeah, they're they're very interesting cars, but just not that I know very well. Um, Andrea and I, we kind of went around for a while in terms of doing contesting, and here we have another one. This was at High Point, New Jersey. It was a very foggy morning. Let me see if I could bring that up here. Yeah, we're doing the same thing, but the only problem with this PVC pipe is that it's wobbling, and it kind of gave inconsistent results. So, yeah, of course, she got this a lot better later on. I did help her a little bit, but she did the vast majority of the work on her car, where she had this. She now has antennas permanently mounted for those bands. Previously, she just had like loops and such like that. So, yeah, very interesting. And I have allergies. I think that time I was still working at Fox News, to be honest. I started Fox News on October 30th, 1997. So let's see here. So those of you know I love fast cars and stuff like that too. And my friend here, Mike Valentine, W8MM, you know him. He's a guy who he knows a lot about radar, speed radar, and police radar and such like that. So, yeah, Valentine one, good guy, good friend, and I really like that. He has this interest, and he has some other interests that I also like, but we'll talk about. Yeah, good guy. Him and his wife. I think they're big supporters of amateur radio. Let's see here. Yeah. So Mike is a flex radio guy. All right. Yeah. I want to show you one where I was on top of tower. So, yeah. Well, I gotta show Paul Gentry, because Paul Gentry is he's a very interesting character in amateur radio. Paul Gentry, Kilo 9 Papa Golf, only Papa Golf, only Papa Golf. There, you know him, the Gentry, good guy. Let's see here. How are we doing on time? Okay, yeah. You don't have a flex yet. Let's see here. The other 7610, one of the guys at Fort Lewis had one. He rolled it. Yeah, that was before they did like all the stability control and lowered the center of gravity and all sorts of stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Ham Radio Pen Pals. Yeah, Valentine one. Yeah, of course it's a ham. Who owns that company? It's a good ham friend of mine. Like I said, he's interested in many. We have many shared interests. Let me just put it that way. Okay. That we like a lot of the same hobbies. Okay, catch my drift. Right. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to get my kids into amateur radio. They really love they love tuning on the radio, but I don't want to push them too hard. They love the 2A and archery, because they don't have to get a license for that, but it takes them some time. Yeah. Let's see here. Gerald Youngblood, K5SDR. I have a picture of him here. And Gerald and I are good friends, because Gerald appreciates what I helped him do for Flex Radio, but he's a good guy. We share a lot of good interests, like for example radios and a bunch of other stuff. So good guy, and they're a very good company. If I lived in Texas, I would probably ask if I could work with them, but it's like, I don't know. Let's see here. One ham fest I used to enjoy was Hamcom, and Hamcom in Texas. Yeah, that picture was taken at Hamcom in Texas. And I always enjoy Hamcom. Hamcom was a great ham fest in Texas and one of my favorite places to be, which is in Texas, especially like Dallas Fort Worth area, because I have a lot of friends down there. I used to do some work down there too. So that's how I have an affinity for the area. I talk about this sometime. There is this guy here who has he does this test table and he tests all your handheld radios and all sorts of stuff that you buy at the Hamfest. And then he will tell you whether it's good or bad, whether it's legal or not. Kind of like what the ARRL lab does, but he does that mainly for people who are buying radios, not to shame people and their cheap handhelds. Yeah, Lon. You know what, Lon? I miss Hamcom. Okay, that was a great Hamfest. That was a great Hamfest. Yeah, T Ray. You know what? Yeah. So T Ray. So, but there is one problem though in New Jersey. I think state police have gone to laser, so that makes it a little difficult. So now I just basically just watch out for them and I keep my foot off the pedal. I really don't. I do have a Tesla Performance, okay, but do I want to open it out and do 155 miles an hour on public roads here? No, I'll take it to the track. But there's sometimes I floor and I love the acceleration. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Okay, that is something else. Alrighty. So 25 years, I might do some things. I really want to get some stuff to give away for 25 years. I think so. I'm going to be giving away a few copies of the book. So let me explain the book. The company reached out to me and asked if I would do a book for them because they found me as an amateur radio resource. So that's why I did the tech book. They're going to give me some to give away, and I'm going to give away, it's about 20 to 25 copies. I'm going to give away some on the YouTube channel. And I'm really trying to see if I could get some merch to give away and such like that. I don't really, Kate MRD kind of put in my head the idea of, well, stickers are for kids. Yeah, I kind of agree with him. You know what? I have kids and they love stickers. So, yeah, over 100 you will lose your license and freedom if you get caught. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, Mike, so what happened is the book, yeah, they take a little while to ship, so they really recommend you read the ebook in the meantime. But they'll ship out soon, and plus it's going on Amazon on the 15th, I think it is. But I don't really control any of the marketing or anything like that. They do that. So I drive over 100 kilometers every day, not miles, kilometers. Okay. It will be available on Kindle, not Amazon or Google Books. It'll be available on Kindle. Well, I guess Amazon Books is Kindle. Duh. Yeah, so it'll be available on Kindle. I don't think it'll be available on Google Books. But Eric, if you want a copy, just let me know. Send me an email, ria@n2rj.com, and I'll get them to send you a copy. So anyway. All right, well, you know what? It's 10:45. I think I'm going to get ready to leave and end this fine live stream. What I'll tell you is I definitely want to do some informative teaching topics on ham radio and get back into the groove. If you have something interesting you want, why don't you could probably leave it in the comments section, or if you want to leave it in chat. If there's something you want to learn that I know, I know a lot of things. I don't know everything, but I do know a lot of things. I'm always willing to share. Okay? And here's to another 25 years. Maybe I'll be one of those old timers. So back in my days, we actually used our microphones on the radio. Now it's all FT8 or FT50. Because they're going to be going to FT. And long after, probably Joe Taylor might live forever. No, I don't think so. But, he's one of my friends too, by the way. Okay, so he's I'll show you. I'll show you a picture of him. Yeah, you know what? It's I should show you a picture of him. Yes, I will. April, May. May 2017. May. I actually invited him to talk at my radio club, the NJDXA, and he was there. And he also spoke at Fairlawn later on. Was it March or May? Anyway, yeah. So Joe and I became friends because I wanted to help him test out some of the new stuff in WSJT, and you know, Joe actually endorsed me for election at the ARRL, which I found quite surprising. But you know, it's always good to have those kind of people in your corner, and I truly appreciate and respect the work he does, even though a lot of people don't. But yeah, all I'm finding here is pictures of pirates and the kids, and you know. Anyway, I'll find it some other time. All right, my friends. Well, this has been Live with Rhea. Hey, T Ray, thank you very much. Love it. Thank you, T Ray. You know what? I'll probably send you. I'll send you something nice. All right. How did you do in 25 years? Pretty dang good. So we learned. Yours truly. Thank you. You know what? And I hope to be teaching you guys a lot more. I definitely want to be around in amateur radio, and I'll leave you with this one. Haters gonna hate, but nobody's gonna bring me down. Because you know, I got ham spirit, people. Peace and 73s. Should I play the outro? Yeah, I'll play the outro. And we'll see how that goes. Bye-bye.